Good afternoon, everybody. Hope your heart is here and your ears are open, and we're all part of one team. Okay, just want to remind us up here right now it's about 5:32. Open. We're going to open session, and then we're going to take roll call first, and we'll go next to the agenda. That's it.
Roll call. Mr. Garcia?
Present.
Mr. Larison? Absent. Mr. Foster? Ms. Barnes? Mr. Kim?
Here.
5-0. I mean, 4.
4-0 present for the record. We're going to go to the
Pledge allegiance.
okay. We'll be asking for
Pledge allegiance.
public comments on closed session items
Pledge allegiance.
after the flag salute. Roll call. Closed session, let me be more specific. Closed session be public employment, and that's the superintendent and contract, anticipated legislation, public employee evaluation, request to rescind resignation, and then the other item would be conference with labor negotiators, and that would be our Teachers Association. And for the record, it's already been noticed, and then the California Employee CSEA, and then the substitute teachers item. And that's it. Any comments on that? None? Move on.
What?
Okay.
This guy.
Go through the items. Okay. Pledge of allegiance.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Closed session, any comments? We're going to be stuck. Who we have in front? Ms. Rodriguez.
Carol Rodriguez. I'm president of the Salinas Elementary Teachers Council. The biggest part of your team, the biggest part of the district. I am here again asking that as the board goes into closed session, that they not agree to appeal this lawsuit. I think we are, this is really running the district into bad financial straits. This has been going on for way too long, and it just gets more costly as we go on. I just received this packet of information about how much the district has spent just for the last 3 years on their own attorney, and that's almost $50,000. So that, including the amount that's being spent on our attorneys and the actual lawsuit itself, this is getting to be a lot of money. And I want you to know that the SCTC, as I said last meeting, we tried over and over to sit down at a table and talk about this before it became more and more money. No one would allow us to just sit at a table and discuss it. So now we won this lawsuit, and now here we are. And to keep carrying this forward and carrying this forward, your attorney's making money, ours attorney's making money, and your team, your teachers, are not getting what they've already earned. If you don't know the particulars of the case or have forgotten, when the freeze occurred, and I think, Janet, you were around at the time, I know that Mr. Hoffman's wife was around at the time. Some people were frozen, some people were not. It's just patently unfair. I'm still carrying around where the idea that I'm in my 20th year and I'm still counted as a 19. But other people they suffered nothing, and I'm still suffering, and that's all these teachers here that are owed money. They are still behind a year after all these years. But then there's others, and many, many others, that had no impact on them at all. They moved forward on the salary schedule and they were fine. At the time, I know it's been kind of debated that, oh, you agreed. I will say that at the time, when the vote came up, I didn't realize that I was going to suffer and other people were not, because that to me is just, simply not fair. But I think we also, no one, both sides, neither of us knew that this was against Ed Code. And I think now we have to fix it. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's too bad that the board at the time, back in 07, 08, didn't stop it there and sit down, settle it, figure something out, but they didn't. And I don't want this board to keep kicking this can down the road.
Okay. Thank you very much. Identify yourself, please.
Sure. I'm Janet Sparks. Good evening. This is my 20th year with the district. Currently, there's only one real board member on the board that was here when this happened, when our district was near bankruptcy. This was due to a superintendent that was hired and supported by our board, despite all the documentation given by teachers that this superintendent was going to destroy our district. I was one of the teachers who knew I'd never forget that day that I had to vote whether to save the district or take a freeze on my pay column and take a $10,000 pay cut. If I voted no against it, the district wasn't going to make payroll. However, not knowing at that time it was illegal, which has now been proven by the court system, this vote should have never happened. I am not here to bankrupt our district now or then, but over $3 million is owed to our hardworking teachers. I am here to urge you to correct the problem. Starting with 2015-16, all teachers should be put back on the appropriate columns. In addition, the board should and needs to negotiate with our union how to resolve this back pay. It is my understanding that the union tried when you only owed $750,000. Now we're over $3 million. The vote should have never happened. You cannot agree to do something illegal. We are an educational system. Daily, I discuss with my students the importance of rules and laws and following them. What message are we sending our thousands of students if the board who oversees our educational system and values will not amend the wrong of the past? This is a wrong message to send to our students. I urge you not to appeal this. The cost would be more money. I urge you not to appeal this. It would cost the district more money and result in more owed. As a board, please correct the illegal actions by correcting the pay columns for teachers immediately and negotiating the plan to pay back the millions owed to teachers. Appealing will only prolong the problem, increase the cost of everyone, and take time and money away from our students. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jay Bush. I'm a retired teacher. And most of the board is new to me. Haven't been around for a while. I was one of the people that got caught in the doldrums. And as a result of that, I was not, 3 years of my service were not counted. So that I could not retire at 25 years, even though I worked for 25 years. So yes, it has affected me, will affect me for the rest of my life. Now, STERS, of course, I mean, obviously I'm not starving to death, but I'm substitute teaching, I'm not volunteering, so please take that into consideration. 3 years of my life as a teacher were not counted here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carol Catalano, and I'm a resource specialist at Blanca Meadows School. I'm speaking as a teacher in the district who is affected by the payroll lawsuit. I'm also a citizen watching public money being spent. I was wondering if the board decides to appeal the judge's verdict, if you would consider getting a second opinion from another attorney familiar with this type of case before you decide to pursue an appeal. I have no legal background, but I do know that second opinions are warranted in other areas, and I think that before money is spent on another appeal, some money should be spent getting another opinion. Thank you.
Frank Garden, parent with children in the school district. And you guys know me by now. I've been involved in the Building a Better Board movement. And first I want to say I'm really impressed by the organized labor that showed up today in full force to demand restitution and correction of the actions that have been taken against them. I didn't know that this had happened. I missed the last board meeting. I had to go out of town on business, but I replayed the video and had no idea that this was going on in the background. I knew something about a $3 million unfunded liability, but now that we understand that there's a judgment out there in favor of the teachers, I want to let you know that parents I know anyway, the majority of parents do support our teachers because they are on the front lines of educating our children. And so what I'm hearing now is that this board is actually taking a really adverse position against the teachers, that you've actually authorized your attorneys to appeal this decision and expend further resources on legal fees. You know, the only winners here are your lawyers. I've seen a lot of bad advice being handed down by your lawyers. We recently requested some public records that were provided to us, legal invoices dating back the last 3 fiscal years. A lot of those invoices come from Lozano Smith. I understand you spent over $16,000 just in 1 month alone, in June of 2014, to build your management team the way you saw fit. So that came at a price. It came out of our taxpayer wallets. Now I'm seeing almost $50,000 in invoices just for the last 3 fiscal years alone. So this lawsuit has apparently been going on since 2008, and we only have invoices totaling $50,000 for the last 3 years. So I'm sure your expenses have been much greater. Of course, your lawyers are going to be urging you to pursue this because that's what they do. They love conflict. They don't want labor peace because it's more billable hours for them. So I think at this point you should be cutting your losses, looking for any sort of opportunity for settlement or middle ground. Ultimately, there is no reason to be expending this level of resources on defending the transgressions of past administrators of this school district. The only winners here are your lawyers, and our students' education will ultimately suffer if you don't right this wrong at this point. So we urge you to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your name, please.
Hi, I'm Carrie Dewar, teacher at Laurelwood. Just real briefly, I'm very affected by that if you look at the list. It's also affected me personally. I have a daughter who is from this district, did very well, straight A student, accepted to 4 colleges. She's going to hurt now because we can't afford the college experience for her. But on another note, I urge you to solve this before we get a new superintendent. What superintendent is going to want to come into a district that has a $3 million lawsuit against them? I think we really need to settle this before we get a new superintendent. I hope you're not trying to just pass the buck to the next superintendent. So I just urge you to do that. Also, we need to look at what this does for our retirement. Look at Jay Bush. Most of us out here don't have much longer, 10, 12, 15 years, and that's going to affect our retirement. That needs to be settled as well. So please just do the right thing and just solve the problem now before passing it on. Thank you.
Good evening, Gabriela Perez, Mission Park, the teacher at Mission Park School. I would also like to urge the board not to appeal the court's decision. The district got into the mess that the district was in at the time that those steps were taken, not by the wrong actions of the teachers, but by the wrong actions of the superintendent, and condoned and sanctioned by the board at the time. And then the decision was made to enter that deal that proved in the end to be illegal. And so what previous speakers have said, please right the wrong that was done. It greatly affects the take-home pay of the people affected, and it affects the retirements in the current retirees and the retirements of the people that retire at a later date. Everybody has worked hard to earn the money that was due to them and was given to the teachers back by the lawsuit. And the longer we wait, the more it adds up, the more the legal expenses add up. And also what kind of, we're talking about lack of teachers at almost every board meeting. Which teacher would want to hire on in a district that visibly so doesn't put their teachers in a very high regard? And as it was said before, the board was aware in 2008 that the wrong was committed and no right was done at the time. So please do it now. Personally, for me, it has a great effect. I am straddling constantly between two continents. I have an ailing, severely visually impaired mother in Europe that I have to go and see and take care of in the summer and in the winter when we are on break. That is an expense that I have to fork out. I also have to take my children because I'm the caretaker of my own children, which then doesn't leave me enough money to take care of certain medical needs that they have. And at this point, it was my aging mother who is saving the pennies from her pension to pay for my kids' medical expenses. And that is just not right. I'm working evenings, weekends, like so many other teachers do. And we should be fairly compensated and given what was due to us and what the judgment that we're having in front of us allotted to us at this time. So please do not go for an appeal.
Thank you very much. Your name, please?
Good evening, I'm Barbara Penna. I'm a third grade teacher at Los Padres School. Students are not more at the focus of anyone's work than at the focus of the teacher's work. Not long after I began my teaching career, I realized that we as teachers have two focuses. One, academics, two, socialization. Academics speaks for itself, but socialization has two components that we emphasize in every classroom. One, make good choices. Two, right wrongs. I'm asking you to do no less than we expect from our students. Please right the wrong that was done in the freezing of our wages. As for the personal impact, I'm in my 18th year of teaching. I'm beginning to consider my retirement options. When I'm retired and I reach the age of 65, I'll have to purchase my own insurance. The past wages that are owed me will buy several years of insurance. Without the compensation, I will continue working until I feel confident I can afford my own insurance in retirement. The district will be clearly many times ahead financially if I retire sooner than later. And I'm just one teacher. So please make the right choice for us all and right the wrong.
We're going to go into closed session after one presentation. Yes, ma'am.
Can I speak? Okay. My name is Elva Ariano, and I'm a teacher at Sherwood School. I'm also a board member. And I can clearly remember when our superintendent came to visit us at Sherwood's. And it was at the time when we were making cuts. And I turned around and I asked him, have you done all your cuts in the appropriate the cuts being made in the appropriate areas. And he said, no, didn't make any cuts. I'm like, what? You didn't make any cuts? How could that be? He goes, nope, I didn't make any cuts. And that's the reason why we were suffering at that time after he didn't make the cuts. That's when we had to give up our step-in column. And personally, I am affected. I have 3 kids that are in college still. And I mean, I could use some of that money for their college funds or for their college. Another thing, sometimes I wonder why you're there as board members, hoping that you have the interest of kids, first of all, but also the interest of teachers. We're the ones that are in the trenches. And at the time, we did not know what the legal issues were. We do now. So I hope all of you sitting there can understand what our teachers go through. So I'm hoping that when you guys go into closed session, that you really think about what you're doing. And hopefully it will be a good outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
And then
Jeanette
we're gonna go into
Thorpe.
closed session.
Okay, Jeanette Thorpe, Cannon School. I've heard a lot of people come up and plead their case, and I just wanted you to know I'm not one of the ones that was affected. And I just want my fellow teachers to know here that there are many of us, and probably all of us, who are supporting our fellow teachers in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for presenting your information as well as your concerns. We're going into closed session. Thank you.